£1.7 million it cost this country. And he'd been committing crime for 10 years.
Do you think ex-offenders become better employees because they've got more to lose?
Yeah. Actually, they've never been loved. They don't know what love is.
They're traumatised.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Do say, I'm better off in prison.
Yeah.
Because I get 3 square meals a day. I've got structure, so it's £57,000 to keep somebody in prison. Costs Tempus Novo around about £3,000 to place them into work and support them for 12 months. And that's key. This is about systems. The current UK government is set up for failure. Trust me.
Well then, let's kick it off.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
It's
you
a
for having
privilege.
us.
Ah, you're welcome.
Can we start by hearing a story that is of one of your people who has turned their life around completely and cut the cycle, changed the cycle that they were in?
Yeah, the one that springs to mind for me is Paul Clough. Paul, who approached us having done a big sentence
16 year.
back in 2015-ish, early doors. You know, we kicked off in 2014 as a charity. Paul was finishing his prison sentence. It was under supervision by his probation officer, and his probation officer knew about Tempus Novo and said, you need to go see him if you want a job. Because it's a myth that probation get prisoners, ex-prisoners work. You know, the so I think the 3,000 staff short at the minute nationally.
Yeah.
They're under the cosh. So anyway, this probation officer did the right thing. Paul came to see us. We thought he was suitable to put forward to an employer. And in a short period of time, he got work and he's never looked back. And that was back in 2015. It was lovely to see him at our annual awards at Rudding Park, which is one of the most beautiful venues in Yorkshire. I'm sat here in Cheshire saying this. And Paul came with his wife and stood up on the stage and said how grateful he was for that opportunity and that he's never looked back. And obviously how difficult it is without a Tempus Novo.
We've got, I mean, that's just one. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's hundreds of them. And it's so, they still ring me up. They still ring Steve up. You know,
Richard Welsh is a good one, Val.
Yeah, Richard. So Richard was I'll just give you another quick one. So Richard was the most prolific offender in Bradford, and the police told us this. And he'd been committing crime for 10 years, and I think it cost on his own something like £1.7 million it cost this country.
He were in Leeds prison at the time, wasn't he? When he reached out to us.
Yeah, we were in Leeds prison. One of the policemen come to me who were working with the prison and said, Richard Welsh wants to see you, Val. He says, but if I were you, I wouldn't bother. He says, it's a waste of time. Lad, I said, no, I says, I know Richard. I says, I'll pop and see him. I went to see him. I says, Val, he says, I've done 10 years. He says, I'm absolutely sick of this coming back in and out of this place. He says, I've had enough. He says, can you help me? I says, if you're determined, Richard, I says, of course we can help you. I says, and we'll get you a job. We got Richard a job, and it was, I think we got him a job. It lasted about a year. And for some reason, he had a bit of a to-do with somebody, and he ended up getting finished. So we ended up getting him another job in another place, and it suited him a hell of a lot better, a bit more pay and everything. And he's never looked back. And we actually won the Centre for Social Justice Awards in down in London.
Which is like the Oscars for charity.
In 2019. And we took Richard with us. And we bought him a suit because he didn't have a suit. And he come down, and David Gork were giving the presentation, were presenting the prizes.
What were he? Justice Minister.
Justice Minister. So we took Richard, me and Steve gets up to receive our present, took Richard up with us and let Richard take the prize off, the trophy off David Gork. And then I got up and said a few words, and I said, yeah, I says, as a result of Richard now turning his life around, I says, over these past 4 years, I says, Bradford Police, I says, have been able to lay 12 policemen off. And it got a bit of a laugh. And as we're getting down off the stage, because it was a glitzy affair, this Sun reporter come to me and he says, excuse me, fella, he says, how many policemen did you say? I said, I'm only joking, mate. I said, it was only a joke, that. But Richard never looked, I mean...
Richard's a great example.
He's a great example, and he's still here. And he rings me up, he says, I've passed my test, Val. And he used to be the biggest twocker in Bradford, so taken without consent, car stealing. He'd do 10 a night, no problem, God. And he'd get chased all over the place by the police.
He once brought his partner to see us brought a gift when he'd just got his job.
Yeah.
And you think you
Christmas.
don't need to do that. But it makes you feel special. You can't buy that feeling.
It rings me up and tells me I've had another child, Val. I said, how many is that now?
Brilliant.
4. You
Brilliant.
know, it's soul filling. It really is so soul filling.
So one lad, Simon Wallage. So Val and I locked Simon up in Leeds prison, going back to the 90s. And in about 2014, when Tempus Novo were just a seed of an idea, we were still working in prison then, deciding how we were going to go about setting it up. And it heard, this is what happens in prison. If something new's been spoken about, it gets round quickly. And he approached me and said, oh, Mr. Freer, he said, I've heard you're setting a charity up to help people like me when I get out of prison. So I says, yeah, we are. He says, would you help me? I says, dead right. I says, I've known you for years. I know you work hard in prison. I said, it'd be an easy sell for me. So I gave him a business card, which we shouldn't have had, by the way, because this would
still working.
External
He still had a job.
prison service. So that came with a few tricky moments, did it, and issues. But again, if you're going to do different, if you're going to get different, you've got to do different. So I says, here's a business card with my personal number on it. Another thing you don't do as a prison officer, give prisoners your personal number. But we had to do to make this work. Anyway, a few months later, I'm at home. It was Christmas time. I get a phone call. And it's Simon. He said, oh, Mr. Freer, I've kept this card for 9 months. He says, and he said to ring you, I'm now on home leave, which is when some of the prisoners are coming to end of the sentence, they're allowed home as part of the rehabilitation programme. And they were at home for a few days. He said, could I come in and get assessed? So when I'm out, I can hit the ground running. So I rung the team up, got him to the front of the queue. He went back to prison. And then a couple of months later came out, and we'd got him a job to come out to. That were back in, again, 2015, 16.
9 years at least.
After he'd been in work a few months, we had an event to celebrate the transformation that some of the people had made with their lives. And we invited local dignitaries, probation people that had supported them, prison officers, our own staff, so they could all celebrate really what they'd achieved. Simon came, and unbeknown to me, he'd brought his son with him. We had a break for a drink, and this little lad comes up to me, and he said, excuse me, he says, are you Steve? And I looked at him, I said, I am, young man. I says, why do you ask? Oh, he says, I just wanted to say thank you. I said, thank you, what for? He says, you got my dad a job. Well, I just I shed a tear. I don't mind shed. You see how I got that? Shed a tear because
Don't keep doing that.
I couldn't believe. And then you start to think, wow, this doesn't just impact on the individual.
No.
This is the families. This is intergenerational. We won't see some of the impact down the line. But we knew that, didn't we? That's why the reason we set Tempus Novo up is simple. To give people who otherwise have zero chance of making the way in life to be able to do it. That's what gets us out of bed on a morning.
It's important.
We're very outcome focused.
Families are important because I tell staff now, whatever you do, please engage with some of the guys who you're helping, not just them, but the families as well, because it's not just a great idea to do that and to see how it's impacting on them, the fact that now he's working instead of in and out of prison, but also the fact that how it affects them, And like Steve says about that lad coming up, he did the same with me. He came up to me as well and said the same thing, and it was so heart-wrenching. It's unbelievable. But the families are so important to them. If
they're lucky enough to have a family.
Well, this is it.
Because this is, again, one of the reasons we set TN up. Because when we thought, right, what's missing? There's hundreds of millions of pounds pumped into education and training. He couldn't find a penny piece pumped into at the time other than Timpson's. Another plug for Cheshire, Lord Timpson lives over this way. And other than Timpson's, there was zero. If you were somebody with a conviction, being honest, declaring it, trying to get a job. So that was the route we thought would go down. But then you realise quite quickly why, because it's bloody hard work, actually. It's the hardest, the hardest strand to, to create and support. But it's the most vital, because it's not just the income, is it, which is vital to put food on the table, but it's that feeling of security, structure, self-worth,
confidence, everything. Yeah,
confidence. All these things are vital to any human being, I think, to thrive. And it's your identity. Their identity were in a criminal before getting work. But then when you see them on the journey and how grateful they are and how hardworking they are and how loyal they are, it all starts to come together. It makes too much sense not to do it, even if it is hard work.
Do you think ex-offenders become better employees because they've got more to lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they feel, Nathan said it in his video,
More to prove.
they feel as though they're
on
the back foot is his exact words Nathan used.
Yeah.
And we met that part of the journey easier for them. The fact that they've got a one-to-one caseworker who's there not just as a caseworker, but as a friend, critical friend, human being. You know, going back to, I think it's 1 in 3 young offenders have been through the care system. We should change that. Care system.
Yeah.
Some of the stories.
1 in 4
terrible.
in adult. It's a high percentage of people who, when you drill down and start to find out about their lives, actually they've never been loved. They don't know what love is.
They're traumatised.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. I'll not repeat.
And we're not soft on crime, by the way.
No, some stories that I've heard when you're interviewing lads, they come out with all sorts of stuff, and my God, I've been in tears because the things that's happened to them, physical, mental, sexual abuse, whilst in care.
Yeah.
They're traumatised, so they turn to drink and drugs to drown out what's happened to them. Once they've got an habit, they're in and out of jail. Once they've been in jail, they've got that stigma then.
You've got to feed that habit, which is theft.
And they cannot get a job for loving the money. And we'd see same people coming back year after year. Simon, Richard, the people we've
stuck
just
in
talked
that cycle.
Because you were seeing them go through the prison service again and again and again.
And they said to keep my bed warm.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, we had that a few years ago with someone who'd just got out of prison and he'd done his time and he'd come out, but then he literally burgled all the houses, one in a row, you know, all along the row of where we lived, and it was so obvious what he was doing. It was just that he wanted to go back to prison. Almost, you know, which
that's their identity. That's where the friends are.
That's where the friends and
they get some security there as well. You know, they're going to get fed and it becomes a safe place.
Everything's provided for them.
It's not a pleasant place to be.
No.
But that just shows you how their lives are on the out.
I was going to say
it's better.
It is better than what they are.
So for surfing or whatever. And yeah, how sad is it that people do say, I'm better off in prison?
Yeah.
Because I get 3 square meals a day. I've got structure. All the things we spoke about, what you need when you've got a job.
And they have a
relationship. I've got identity.
They have
I've got friends.
Don't they, with staff? Even staff, you know, Simon and them, people like that, if they've any sense, they make prison an half-decent journey. And if they behave themselves and get on with staff, and comply with regime, it's not that difficult a life for them. If there are some in prison who go to prison who just want, they're anti-authority, they just want to fight with anybody and everybody, and their journey is terrible. And I'll say to them, have you not thought about what you're doing? You get up, you're fighting every day, you're smashing your cell up. You're not getting anything, you don't get any privileges, you're not allowed to go to the gym, you're not allowed, your visits are cut short. You know, I says, there's a lot easier way of doing prison, you know. And the ones who've got a bit of common sense take the easy route. And those are the ones normally who think, you know what, I'd like a job when I get out. And that's the people that we help.
Better bring this back into warehousing, otherwise we'll keep talking about this all day.
Sorry.
So I've got a question from somebody called Claire Bottle. It's called the bottle opener question. So thank you, Claire. Warehousing is one of the few sectors genuinely struggling with reliable labour, yet many employers are still hesitant to hire people with convictions. What would you guys say to logistic leaders to help them get past that bias, and what actually changes their thinking?
When I meet employers, one of the first things I'll say to them, because they're very wary. They think, because when you mention ex-offenders, they think rapists, paedophiles, somebody who's going to jump on you and smash your head in, and it's not like that. There are some people like that, and those are the people that need to stay in prison. But there are people in there that, like we've talked about,
we don't work with them. Let's just get that out there.
Yeah.
So we made again a bold decision, especially in this world that we live in now, where we're all about inclusivity and not discriminating, which is right. But we had to think of the employer here and make it safe. That's the first thing. So the model is safe. We've been running now, how many?
12 years.
12 years. We've had a few minor incidents, but nothing worse than you'd get in the workplace anyway. Yeah. So it works. And the reason it works is because we exclude certain offence types.
So who do you exclude?
So we don't work with sex offenders, for example. We don't work with murderers. We don't work with anyone connected to terrorism and arson. Now, that's not to say going forward, if Tempus Novo became a big national, international outfit with enough resources, you might be able to look at changing that. But we felt at the time, and having spoken to employers as well, what's the level of risk that they're prepared to take? Now, ultimately, you've got to think of reputational risk.
Yeah.
You build that over days, months, years, decades, centuries as a business. It's hard bloody work, pardon my French. Who are we to think that we can damage that? It's a big enough risk taking an ex-offender, never mind putting that level of offender in. So we exclude those. And
well, that's comforting for them.
Correct.
So that's comforting for them. But what I also said to them is, I'll say, look, do you use recruitment agencies? So yeah, we do. So I'll guarantee you that you will be employing ex-offenders and you don't even know it. I said, and you might be employing the type that we don't let through our system. Mm-hmm. I said, so, and that, all right, I've never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm. That has happened at a previous place.
No, it will
happen.
Worked out, and we found out that it was like sexual assault, and
exactly.
Also, they were a repeat offender for that.
The businesses that we work with.
So it was, it was very sad for everyone because it was sort of a bit scary, and there was no sort of vetting in that sense, and there was, but it wasn't so open as what you're talking about.
Which brings me to any employers thinking of taking on ex-offenders need to work with organisations that know what they're doing. It's a very, very complex world, the criminal justice system.
I think he might have hidden it as well, to be fair. I don't think he...
Where with our people, they know from day one, this is an ex-offender and we know what he's done, or she.
Yeah.
Cards
on the table.
Cards on the table. We'll take them for interview. We accompany them for interview.
Yeah.
And what we do is, the way we do it,
yeah,
it creates a journey that the employer wants to be part of. It's not just bums on seats. This is actually having a big impact on society. And it's an impact socially and economically. So it's £57,000 to keep somebody in prison. Cost Tempus Novo around about £3,000 to place them into work and support them for 12 months. And that's key, that support.
Why do you think it works so well in warehousing and logistics? Because you've got, so many people employed. Why does it work so well in our sector?
Basic skills.
The average
work.
The average level of reading and writing of a prisoner is an 11-year-old. 65% of people who are in and out of prison regularly have the reading and writing age of an 11-year-old, which goes back to the care system and all the rest of it.
The chance in the first place.
Yeah. Then there's the prisoners.
But
that's a fact.
Staff.
That's why
that
it
includes
works.
me and him, by the way.
Of course it does. Because entry-level work allows them to feel confident enough to take that first step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
However, and this is probably the stat I'm most proud of, we've placed 77 people into one warehouse in Leeds. And how many of them, Val? 15 of them?
Yeah.
15 out of that 77 have been promoted. That's 20%.
And one
Which employer don't
Wow.
want a bit of that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That conversion rate's staggering.
The warehouse
Absolutely.
work suits
That's
them.
a credit to the
And
company,
and
by
I'll
the way.
tell you
as well.
now,
Yeah.
there's lots of when we've worked in prisons that they're always banging on about, oh, we've done surveys, education department, we've done surveys, and 45% of lads in prison want construction. I said, well, they said that to you.
Yeah.
I said, but you try and get a lad to go working on a construction site in December.
We've
When
done it.
we've tried it.
Yeah.
And we've tried it, and I says to him, I says, you'll that stat, I says, I do not believe for 1 minute. I says, we had a job in Leeds, paying 35,000, and this is about 5 years ago, paying £35,000 to be a gatekeeper, and it will let in vehicles on and off a site, opening gates, shutting them, opening, shutting. That's all he had to do. We couldn't find anybody for it because it was in middle of winter and nobody wanted to stand, and that's
Another reason warehousing works,
yeah,
because it's a warm
well, that's what I was coming to.
environment.
Yeah.
That's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
So
Dry,
warehousing
clean.
suits them because it's nice and warm, it's clean, it's all tidy. Health and safety's usually bang on, isn't it? Everywhere else.
How important is that particular, ex-offender's sort of supervisor or manager, and what support do you give to that? Because without that structure, it must
Massive.
fall apart.
Correct.
Yeah. So what we do, so we provide 12-month support for every individual that we place, but we also provide that same support for his supervisor.
Right.
So in other words, we keep in touch with Johnny on a regular basis. First month, it's 2 or 3 times a week. How's it going, Johnny? Yeah. Any problems? Are you getting to work okay? Buses? Yeah, everything's fine. Thank you. And he said, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm smashing it, Val or Caroline, whoever his support worker is. And then we ring his supervisor. How's Johnny doing? Oh, he's doing okay, he says, but he's been late twice. Oh, really? So I'm straight back on the phone to Johnny, and this is where prison officer that comes back on.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think you're playing at? You didn't tell me you'd been late twice. Do you know if you're late again, you'll be down road? And I'll tell you now, if you mess this up, we won't be giving you another opportunity. I'm really sorry, but, I've had a couple of problems. So we try and support him with everything. We'll find out why that's happening. But all I'm saying is we do a double check with his supervisor.
It brings me right into a question that I've got written down. Do ex-offenders typically, how do they compare with attendance, punctuality and loyalty?
Oh, we did a piece of work on this actually a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we looked at a random sample of about 100 people working in warehousing. And it was 2 days a year that they'd had off on average. And I believe it's
Compared
6
to
days.
6 or
national.
7. Yeah, I think it is. The average.
Again, as an employer, these are really important stats. Because, one of the things that it's taught us as well as leaders of what I like to think is a forward-thinking, sort of agile, energetic organisation. Humanity is at the core of all of this. If you get that right as a team, i.e. the prison you're working with, if we're working with a prison, the probation team, if it's probation, the business. There are businesses out there that genuinely care about the people.
Of course there are.
Yeah.
They're the ones who we want to work with. We do a lot of due diligence on the companies. We don't just, you would think, wouldn't you, it's difficult getting ex-offenders. So any company that comes to us we'll work with. No, we want to know actually, what's your culture? Because we've worked damned hard to create this brand.
How do you do that, Steve?
We go in, we speak to the team, we speak to staff. You can see it. When you walk into what I think's a company that we could potentially work with, you can see it straight away. In car park, it's spotlessly clean.
Yeah.
There's systems around how to park. It's just the simple things. The receptionist,
No, exactly.
and she got a smile on her face.
That's it.
And is she happy to be at work?
Yeah. I'll
They
get
all matter these things.
You're describing structure to me. So the better structure, the better it is for the offender. It
Yes.
feels
They
better.
do like structure.
Definitely.
Yeah, they like organised. They like to be told what to do, when to do it, because that's what they used to.
Right.
I'll give it just an example. We've started over here with this project with the PCC. We've placed a couple of people into Chester Zoo. And so my job was to go and meet Chester Zoo.
This is a great
Top
example of
people.
culture.
And when I met them, I
Human.
thought, wow, the really what a job. They showed me around the zoo, and I really enjoyed
And
it.
let him out.
I thought, well, with Ross,
That they were going to keep.
they were going to keep.
No, but Val rung me. Just sorry to interrupt you, Val. This is how much impact they had on him as the type of business we wanted to work with.
Yeah.
On way on, he rung me and said, Steve, you want... Now, I were a bit sceptical, if I'm honest.
Yeah, you
and
were.
again, it just shows lack of education. I'd not been to many zoos. I thought, oh, it'll be a bit of a tin pot job. We need jobs up that guarantee a good income and progress and all these things that we'd evident and seen over years. He rings me up, Steve, he says, it's the best company I think I've been to. He said, everybody I met in that park or arena
In the zoo.
had a smile on their faces.
In the zoo.
Yeah.
Not only that, I stopped and I said to there were a young lass and I thought she'd beaming smile. I said, how long have you worked here then, young lady? And she says, oh, I've been here 11 months. I says, and? She says, I absolutely love it.
So
I
many
could
staff
see-
had been there
I
a long
could
time.
see, and it's same
which
in
is a good
warehousing.
indicator.
Yeah.
You can see people are getting on, they're smiling, they're having the crack, and you go up to them and talk to them. How long you been here? I think, oh, I've been here 13 years. I think, wow, you must love it. Oh,
Yeah.
I do. Best, So we do suss that out because
Yeah, we do.
one of the things we do, we ask them to come to us. We'll do a prison tour sometimes.
And this
if
is
it's
about
necessary.
being part of the journey,
The employer,
not
this
just
is,
ticking boxes.
and then we go to their site, and I want to see their site, and I want to meet their people, and that's how we do it.
And then we actually tech the people, so our caseworkers, mentors. Again, this is something we do different that we saw didn't happen very well in the system. That one person stays with you for your journey throughout, does everything for you. You don't get passed from pillar to post where there's poor communication, no meaning, no relationship. Relationships is everything. Whatever you do in life, relationships.
Yeah.
It's vital, or else you get nowhere. And that's just the same. So we make sure, don't we? The assessment, Val. How important is the assessment? And we stress this to our team.
Yeah,
That first meeting with that person.
yeah.
What's the assessment?
So we've obviously when we're going to help a person, we've got to take all his information down, and we've got his own management system. It's all recorded on there. So his date of birth, everything. And when you're doing an assessment with a guy or a girl, because we work with both, you sit and I'll sit to him, right?
Well, all three. We work with.
Yeah. So how I used to do it, I said, right, I've got some really boring paperwork to do. It'll probably take me about 20 minutes. It's going to probably take us an hour, this process. I says, but and I says, then I want to get to know you and I want you to get to know me. I says, which way, and I'll give them option, which way do you want to do it? Oh, let's get boring paperwork out of the way. So fill out paperwork and get that out of the way. Right, tell me about you.
But also,
About your journey. And then I'll do the same about me. And I'll tell him, and I was a prison officer, you weren't allowed to do that. But now we're not a prison officer, we can go into a bit more detail
get a
about
bit
what
of
we
a
are and
bond
what,
going, a bit of rapport going.
what my hobbies are and things like
Yeah.
that. And what you do basically, you're building a relationship with that guy. And when you're finished, at the
paperwork,
end of
forget that. That's
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
this is what's
at
important.
the end of the assessment, you want him to almost be your best mate, and he don't want to let you down. So in other words, when he thinks and he gets up on a Sunday, he's out drinking on a Sunday and he's to get
Well,
up
you're
for work
offering him a life.
on a Monday morning,
Literally.
and he don't feel like getting up, he'll think, oh, I can't let Val down.
Does
You
happen.
know, and
Yeah.
it
Everybody has a
works.
conscience.
Yeah. And you need a role model, and
That's it.
you have to have that
Yeah.
openness.
That
for
relationship,
someone
that
to-
Vital.
that
feel-
Not
first
easy.
hour is
When we
key
do
to
the assessments
success.
in
Key to
prisons,
the success.
Yeah.
our staff are told, you tell them you're independent to the criminal justice system, because that will break down the first barrier that you need to break down. They've been let down all their lives, most of these, by criminal justice system.
Yeah.
We're not part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've benefited from working in it, of course we have, but we do different now. Our system is very different.
The problem you've got is
They need
they
to trust
don't
you.
trust people in authority.
Correct.
They don't trust you. Because when we're working in the prisons, we draw keys. So we have a keychain on. And first thing I'll say to staff is, make sure you stress to them, like Steve just said, I'm not a prison officer, a probation officer, a policeman. I know I've got a keychain on, but we're a totally independent charity called Tempus Novo, and I said, that's the first thing you need to get off your chest with the person and let him know. And then they opened up to you.
Yeah.
They like to know as well that the backstory to Tempus Novo.
Yeah.
I wanted to know,
The
what does the
fact.
name mean?
So,
Yeah, which is another.
When we
it's
first
just-
started,
Yeah.
Val and I were working at Leeds Prison. I was part of what they call a multi-agency team. So I was working with probation, police, drug and alcohol support, housing, all under one roof. Very clever concept, actually. Tight communications. And it were a government programme which was to reduce reoffending. So the police would identify the most prolific offenders in Leeds. Some of them been locked up in Leeds Prison. I'd facilitate meetings with the police and the prisoners. Probation would get involved. And basically what we were doing, we were offering them a different route. We were saying, look, you can either stop committing crime and we'll find you a decent property. We'll help you. We'll give you intense support with your drug or drink problem. There'll be somebody there for you. And it was working. I remember going into work on a Monday morning. Michelle, the probation officer, she'd be there saying to Pete, the police officer, Pete, can you just check on your computer? There were a chap got out on Friday. I took him to his first probation appointment. I got him into his home, showed him where everything was. Because the cats are the basic survival things that they don't get, a lot of them. And I'm thinking, I says, Michelle, you got out when? Friday. I said, it's only Monday. She says, Steve, trust me. If we hadn't done all that, I'd have been back in Saturday. So Pete goes on computer. Yeah, it's still, she's hailing it, a huge success. And I'm thinking,
Managed 3 days.
that's not really, that reducing reoffending is okay, but we want to stop it. That's when the old grey matter started and the cogs started turning, and I started thinking. After doing that for a year, we got a new governor came into Leeds Prison, a guy called Paul Baker. And there aren't many, in 30 years, but both Val and I've had this conversation many times, there aren't many prison governors who are business-like, entrepreneurial, visionary, innovative.
Thinking.
Paul what?
Yeah.
He came into what's known as a Category B local inner city prison.
Hanging House of Horror, it was called.
By the local press, that was...
Really?
It was called that because they hung 97 people there. So it was called the Hanging House of Horror.
And beyond that, people topped themselves regularly.
Yeah,
because it was such an unpleasant environment.
Yeah.
That was where we
Worked for
learned our
25
trade.
years. We both worked there for 25 years.
When we got in there
Yeah.
as young officers,
Yeah.
are we allowed to swear on here, or would you
Yeah.
rather we didn't?
I'm going to later.
The experienced staff in the 90s would say,
God.
give them fuck all and plenty of it.
Yeah.
Happiness is door-shaped. That was the attitude.
Yeah.
Anyway, Paul came in and said, we're not having any of that. I mean, it had changed by this time quite a bit, but there was still a
little bit.
Still a little bit of it. And he took the staff on a journey with him. This is good leadership skills. They were firm but fair. If he wanted a full staff meeting, it were a full staff meeting. Nobody was sneaking off early to cafe.
Yeah, sneaking out, yeah.
And he would say to every manager, did all your staff turn up today to my meeting? And he'd have people accountable. But he did it in an enjoyable way. He delivered his vision for Leeds Prison with some good visuals, and he added a bit of humour, but you got the message. We are now going to be a prison of rehabilitation, and we're going to do it in a way that creates proper outcomes, and we're going to measure them. One day I got a phone call. Steve, he said, have you got a suit? I said, yeah, because obviously you're wearing a uniform every day in prison. Right, he said, meet me at Ellen Road in the morning. There's a breakfast networking event, and I want you to be my business development manager, because we're going to turn Leeds Prison round. We're going to become a place of rehabilitation. Wow. So I went, and he stood up at our event last week, and didn't he? And he spoke about this.
Yeah.
He gave me carte blanche. He said, right, I want serving prisoners to get work placements in the community, and I want you to make that happen. You know who the right prisoners are. Go and persuade the companies. I'll do the risk assessments with you and with probation and police, and we'll get lads out going to work, get them that good work ethic and mindset. So I took myself off to London to see what were happening in London, and I did tons of research, and I got a few companies locally to give us a chance. In fact, the first one were Our Scouring in Bradford, which is a wool scouring plant. There's not many of them left, where they literally take the fleeces off the back of sheep.
Dirty, smelly job.
They clean them, put them through a process, and then it comes out as nice, clean wool.
Yeah.
So our lads were given an opportunity there from prison. They loved it. They'd never seen it. Never happened before. Not at a place like Leeds.
I used to. One of the questions I'd say, one of the questions I'd used to ask prisoners is, "Are you prepared to shovel shit?" And they'd say, "Yes, I am." I said, "Well, strangely enough, that's what you're going to be doing."
We've stuck with us ever since. We say to our team when they say, "I think he wants it. I think he's ready," but and say, "Well,
ask him that question.
Ask him if he's shovel shit."
And if the answer is yes, you know that he's got somebody that's motivated. They've got to want to change. You know,
they have.
I've seen schemes over the years where people are target driven.
Yeah.
And don't matter about the quality of the person. We've got to hit our target. This is typical government stuff. We're not like that. We're about, we set targets, but they're usually challenging but achievable because we know now from our stats over years, our data, what's achievable depending on how many people are in that particular community.
Anyway, go back to the story.
Sorry. So
and then
I want to go back to stats because I would think me and you're going to have a conversation about stats because we've got some numbers in our heads.
They put me on this job for 12 months and I loved it because I saw people's lives changing and I were a big part of it and it were an amazing feeling. And Val at the time were running the IT workshop, teaching prisoners IT skills. I needed some marketing materials doing. I went to Val.
Business cards.
I was shocked how interested he was. What's this you're doing, Steve? I'd love to do this, blah, 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 blah. Get prisoners in. Come and help Mr. Freer with this. They were then, what's this? What's jobs for prisoners? How do we get involved? You could feel that there were a want. And then it came to the 12 months up. Paul, by the way, had invented this job role, despite unions saying we haven't got enough staff to take Steve out of the prison and do that. It would, sorry, it's happening. And it allowed me to see a different way of working with prisoners, actually. And it was the next stage from the multi-agency thing where they were reducing reoffending. Now, by giving them jobs and hope, you could stop it. And I could see this, and I'd shared it all with Al, and they were like, this is amazing. At the end of the 12 months, Paul said, it was Chris Grayling at the time, Failing Grayling. Crisis Chris, better known as. He was the Justice Secretary.
I could call him something else.
And
we're
he
allowed
got
swearing.
staff by 25% nationally. Disastrous. They haven't recovered from it yet, and this was back in 2011.
Still haven't.
12.
So
I went to Val. I said, I'm back in the prison next week. That project's finished. Paul can't sustain it. And he's going, are they mad?
No.
And I said, well, you know what it's like. It's down to money. So he said, no, Steve. He says, you need to keep doing this work. You're too good at it. And I thought, wow, that's a big statement. But he's right, because I've found my calling, if you like. He said, so let's find a way to do it. Let's just, get our heads together and see what we can do. And
that what birth of it, really.
That what birth of it. So we did.
And here we are.
But who'd have thought that we'd still be doing this?
I know.
And I feel as though we're just getting started, by the way, because this Police and Crime Commissioner pilot is a huge opportunity.
Tell us about that then, Steve.
So never ever have we had anyone from government find money to support us because of the inclusive world we live in.
Yeah.
Tempus Novo, but there's loads of others doing it. So why you? We can't do that. We'd have to give it to somebody else, wouldn't we? Or share it out.
Let's talk about that for a minute then, because there's a reoffending cost or cost of reoffending in the UK. Val, tell us what that is, and then, because I researched this morning, I've got a way of visualising it, and it's so monstrously expensive, I don't think people will realise. So we'll come on to how do we measure that?
Well, the prison cost alone is £57,000 a year to keep someone in jail for 12 months.
And am I right in saying that 3/4 of prisoners are reoffenders? Is it as high as that?
It's right. It's
Not quite.
up to 45% reoffend within 12 months of leaving prison.
Right.
And up to about 60% reoffend within 2 years of living prison. So we've placed 1,458, I think it is, into jobs in the last 12 years. And only 42 have actually gone back into prison after working with us.
Wow.
And we support them for the 12 months we've mentioned, but we then also track them for a further 12 months. And we check it on the prison system. So
Which is unique, having that access.
It's really, it's because we're ex-prison officers, I think, is why the reason they've given us the access.
I think that helped to get a foot in the door initially.
But so then, when I tell you there's only 42, that's a fact. There's lots of other organisations have seen our figures since.
Well, they can't provide that sort of data.
And I think they're coming out with figures like, and they're all doing it now because our figures, so 42 out of 1,458 is less than 3%.
Yeah, it's a very low number.
You'll see other organisations quoting similar stats.
You see them now quoting similar stats, and I think I'd love to ask you how you know that.
How did you work it out?
But it's what it is.
Even the prison service couldn't do that.
No.
That one of their failings, because as soon as somebody leaves prison, they've lost track of them.
They'll forget.
So they couldn't provide data to the public that meant anything because they didn't have it.
No.
And it's, by the way, when you talk about costs, that reoffending cost the British taxpayer, and it was 2018, I think this was last
Yes.
18.1.
Yes, top
billion
it's top
pounds.
20 billion now.
It is
20
Top
billion.
20 billion.
Yeah.
I was
Staggering.
having a coffee this morning trying to work out how to visualize 20 billion quid.
Wow.
And I came up with it this way, okay? If I had a handful of £50 notes, I could hold about 25,000 quid's worth.
Right.
Okay? 20 billion is the height of a commercial aircraft flying times 5.
What?
It's 20 large containers of £50 notes.
Oh, wow.
Right? The money is staggering in
eye-watering.
reoffending. Staggering amount of money if you visualize it in that way. So everyone that you take out, not only say 57 grand, I know it costs you 3, you save 57 grand, but also there's some tax comes back in.
No,
You've got the money mounts up so
who's
quickly.
paid 30 grand a year, let's say on average hours are on 30 grand a year, pays back in 13,000. Also, there's the housing support that they'd be on that isn't costing
No benefit.
per annum. There's benefits that are saved. You could argue £80,000 at least per head is saved, and times that by however many.
Yeah.
What we try to do, we always try to be transparent. So we know that, let's say we help 100 people coming out of a Category D prison. So reoffending rates are different because they're less risk. So we do it all by the book. So a third of those people would go on to reoffend. So they're the numbers we'd use. We won't claim all of them because we know that historically 2/3 wouldn't reoffend anyway.
Yeah.
And it's less than the national average because it's a Cat D open prison. It all depends on the type of prisoner that you're working with, you see. And this is again why governments struggle to provide strong data. So yeah, we take it, we strip it right back, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, we know Rachel Reeves,
Right.
and because she's Leeds, but she was Leeds MP, weren't she?
Yeah.
So we invited her up when she'd got a job, and she come to see her. I thought she must be interested in this. £3,000 it costs Tempus Novo to place somebody in work and keep him in work for a year. The alternative is we don't do that. It goes back to prison, and it costs you 57,000, or us as taxpayers 57,000. Now,
Plus
surely
that
to
rest
God,
we've just
that
mentioned.
is a no-brainer. Plus obviously
And
For the
cost of
Chancellor.
for the Chancellor,
crimes.
and she
That's
was
factored
Now
into
she
the
was
total.
blown away. She was blown away by the figures, and she's like all excited. She actually shed a tear when we brought one of the lads in to talk to her.
Yeah.
Shed, get it in again, lad.
Went away, and we've not
Never
heard
heard of
anything from her since.
Oh, let me
No.
just say, this isn't about people, this is about systems. The current UK government is set up for failure, trust me. What do you see every day in Parliament? how much productivity or outcomes is there from slagging each other off from one side of the room to the other? Zero. I follow UAE model. Now, I know it's a family affair, but I've adopted some of that into TN. One thing that they do is it's called zero bureaucracy.
I've noticed you've mentioned that on LinkedIn before.
Now, zero bureaucracy, and you don't have to be a brain surgeon to understand it. It's a mindset, and it's about getting things done and focusing on the outcomes and not getting sucked into the process and the
procedures.
bureaucracy and the red tape. Because if you do that, you get nothing done. So we're just developing a own internal training program, actually, for staff to understand that. Because if we get sucked into the government way of operating, our effectiveness will be diluted tremendously. And then we're not doing justice to the people that are giving us money. We've got to be focused on people and outcomes daily, laser focused.
I'll give an example of a
Everyone's
bureaucracy,
individual.
the probation service, that when it's just happened, it's the guy that's homeless. Now, he's got somewhere where he can go and live. He's got a girlfriend who's said
This
he
is a
lives
great
here.
example.
And he can go there in the day because it's been risk assessed.
Could
But
make
at
this up.
11 o'clock, he's got to leave and he can't go back till 7 o'clock next morning. Right?
This is Adam.
This is Adam, who we've just been
Right,
talking about
yeah.
earlier. So they know he's got a job. Why can't a statement? Because you can't. It hasn't been risk assessed, and we've got to get different agencies
So we're
involved.
speaking
risk
to
assess it.
probation who then say, it ain't us that do it.
It
It's social services. And
So,
it could be
so
weeks.
that lad had to sleep in his brother's car.
It's his fact.
He had to get up at 4 o'clock at morning to get to work for 7
Walked about
o'clock.
4 miles.
7
was it?
7 mile he had to walk to get to work, and that's when Quest, the owner of Quest,
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I can't have you doing this.
Now you can
put
understand
him
why
up.
he chipped in then.
Yeah.
When you've got a guy who's walked 7 miles to work. But this is
After sleeping
the
in the car.
system.
The
Is
system.
set up for people to fail.
Fail.
Now,
Yeah,
the
you can't
probation
be
officer
staying-
said,
Yeah.
That's just one
I
example.
understand. He says, but I'm tied. My hands are tied. He says, you can't stay at your girlfriend's house until it's all been risk
The book
assessed.
says it's all rule.
And why is the risk assessment not happening?
Well, because of incompetence.
Well, because
Or, let's
all-
be fair, lack of resources.
yeah,
probably.
yeah, I'm going to say lack of staff.
David Cameron said when he was Prime Minister, he admitted it. He said there's no wonder MOJs in state it is. I think there's 14,000 rules that apply within the MOJ. So when you give somebody a rule book, they use it as a mechanism, some people,
Not to do
anything.
Not to do anything.
Trust me, we've seen it, we've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we've
civil
worked in it.
service, in my opinion, and this isn't everybody, by the way, there's a number of incredible people within it. I've just highlighted one, Paul Baker. But because of the system and the way it's set up, the good, innovative, entrepreneurial people are prevented from doing any
Well,
good work.
that's
So they
right.
move on. So you lose all the amazing people.
Mm.
It's a farce.
So the Green Party have got a lot of policies, haven't they?
Oh, I don't like green. It's not my
Wow.
favourite colour.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else.
You want to get your question?
I know you did. I meant you to think that.
Yeah, we're interested to know your thoughts on their policies and if you're working with them in any way in terms of providing evidence and
So what are the policies? Do you want to just
on rehabilitation and trying to reduce
what they're planning to do?
Well, I
This
know
is it.
but there was some.
It's all right talking.
This is
about
this
it.
I'll try not to laugh too loud.
Yeah.
With-
No, listen. Anybody who'll show an interest in wanting to rehabilitate people rather than keep locking them up is worth speaking to.
Well, Val, it goes back to what I've just said.
Yeah,
Green party, blue party, red party,
well, it don't matter to us.
screaming Lord such party.
Yeah,
Can't get anything done because of the system that we operate in the UK. This political system was designed, I don't how many hundreds of years ago. We're still operating the same system in a different world.
in a complete.
The UAE
Yeah.
don't have any of those barriers. They decide something's happening and it happens tomorrow.
Interesting.
I know for a fact this is my son lives in Dubai. He's been there 8 years. That's why I've got an interest, shall we say, in how they operate. Because I've been there now myself loads of times and I see it. There were a pothole appeared, one pothole in their highway. Within 4 hours, it was filled. That's the efficiency
Yeah.
levels and the difference. Over here, there'd be somebody saying, well, hang on, we've got a pothole. What about, we'll have a meeting on Monday.
So it's
How
best
did-
of intentions, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then-
There's some
but
well-intended
it-
people
there's blockers,
operating in a
there's
system
blockers.
that doesn't support innovation.
Well, we're non-political.
change.
We're non-political. We just listen. We've approached the Labour Party. We tended to find the Conservative Party. There are more people, more supporters of what we do in the Conservative Party.
Genuine supporters.
Now, I'm not a Conservative voter or anything like that,
That's a fact.
But that is a fact. And like I said, we know Rachel Reeves. I've taken her and her sister round the prison, and I've taken Holly Lynch round the prison, and they're not interested.
What challenges did you have at the beginning? Because I know you've had some, and I know you had some political help, although it was, apolitical help. But tell everybody about that.
Well, the challenges that we had right at the beginning were our own bosses at the prison thought we were setting something up to line his own pockets rather than do good for society. That's the reason we decided to be a charity, because it sort of allays a lot of those suspicions and obstacles that get put in your way. So it got to a point where I was sent to another prison whilst we were investigated. And
we couldn't have any contact for 6 months.
Because we were setting some... You bear in mind, we're doing something that's never been done before. So we could have been, when we were seeing prisoners outside who had been discharged, we might have been organising to take guns in, drugs. Well, I get that. The governor's got to do his job professionally. And part of that was I'm being sent to another prison whilst the investigators. I think he knew in his heart of hearts, I'd done 25 years at that point, and worked. I was his right-hand man on that project the year before. But he'd got a jail to think of, and the security and the safety of his staff.
Yeah, it were all the staff who were putting...
And they were always putting in little notes on the scenes.
There's a system in prisons that they're called security information reports, SIRs they're called. So if you've got suspicions about somebody, you can fill an SIR in, all anonymous, and stick it in. And
the security governor has to look and think what we're going to do about this. We were called up 2 or 3 times. We sort of managed to get through some of that. But then it finished where, one morning I just got called in.
Marched out at jail
and told I was starting at another prison, which wasn't easy. Because then you're going home thinking, have I got a job to go back to? Because we hadn't set Tempus Novo up at that point. It was just an idea. So that were a very tough time.
And that was right. That was before we got set off, really.
You learn, actually. The bigger the challenge.
Yeah.
How quickly did you get Jonathan Aitken involved?
Quite quickly.
Well, that was part of the
reason we did that was to stop things like that happening. Because he'd got quite a bit of power and influence.
Even though he'd been an ex-offender himself, he was the first minister to go to prison in 1999. When I was working in the multi-agency programme, I came across a report called Locked Up Potential, and I read it and thought, these guys know who's written this. I looked, and Jonathan Aitken was the author. The people that had contributed were ex-lifer prisoners, prison governors from private and public sector. I thought, that's why this makes sense. So all that experience gone into this report, and some of the recommendations were really quite sensible, I thought. So I thought, I'll email him and tell him I'm working in this different environment and I'm going to implement some of these recommendations. Never thinking I'd hear back. Bless him, Steve, he said, first of all, it's bloody marvellous to hear somebody's read it. So I thought, he's got a good sense of humour. Please keep me informed. And I did. So then when we were coming to set TN up, I said to Val, it's a no-brainer to ask Jonathan. He's an ex-minister, so he comes with phenomenal contacts. He can open doors we can't dream of. He's got the knowledge and experience of prisons, and he'll probably be passionate, which I knew he were about prison reform. So since then, we've become best mates with him. We went to his ordination when he became a vicar at St. Paul's. We go to his home once a month in Kensington and
have a bottle of
wine with him. And
but it's not shit either.
It's not cheap wine. No.
And he's been our rock.
Yeah, you've said that before.
Yeah, he has.
Because we've had so many obstacles, challenges. It's amazing. They say, don't they? What's that phrase they use? It's amazing how many people want you to do well until you do well.
Yeah.
It's a fact. It's a sad culture within UK society.
So with all of the blockers that there is in general, and that you've had, why does the model work? And in relation to how can we reassure new businesses that might be interested in working with you guys that this is going to work for them? And I'm just thinking of those 42 people that did. Have they? I don't know if they've dropped out of your system completely or not, but the 42 where it didn't work. What would you say to an employer who's like, well, that's going to be me. We'll be part of the 3%. You know, it's a great initiative, but we'll end up in that 3%.
Give your head a shake.
Yeah. Bear in mind when
Open your mind.
one of the things I'm
Yeah.
going to say, once we meet them and tell them we can soon reassure them, because they'll even say to us, look, if we employ 10 people, we'll lose 3 within a month or 4. Our retention rate actually is better than any recruitment agency retention rates. So the Rottle model, we have 2 models, Rottle model, community model. So people still serving in prison, so still in category D prisons, go out to work every day on Rottle, release on temporary licence. The retention rate for that is 95% plus. You know, what employer don't want that? And they can be with them for up to 3 years.
Because logistics is a sector that really struggles with retention and even getting good people in the first place.
Absolutely.
So that's the Rottle model, and we've got quite a few going out on Rottle to the logistics sector. But then even the community model, where people have been released from prison, ex-offenders, parked at job centres and parked with probation under the supervision of the probation service, we place those people into work as well, obviously. And what point were I making?
Retention.
Retention, sorry. And the retention rate for those people is over 6 months is around 79%, and over 12 months is about 73%, which is a lot better than most
what
companies.
I'd also say, Naomi, is actually, I've got an HR manager that's worked with us for 8 years that I'd like you to ring up and speak to, because that HR manager will tell you hiring ex-offenders is the best part of my job, because I go home at night knowing I've made a difference. And they get to know them as human beings. They take an interest in the journey, and it it enriches the working environment. I've heard that so many times. So many times.
Well, we had loads of them at our event the other night celebrating the lads and lasses that we've played.
Tell us about that then. Go, you must have a great night. You've done it a few times. How good's that evening?
It's unbelievable. And Paul Cluffle, we spoke about earlier, were there, and so what tends to happen, we'll get them up and we're timed, and we say, and they're going like this, waving at us, right, enough. And then lads will go, can I just say a few words?
Yeah.
And
this is lads who,
I think,
12 months ago would have been frightened of stepping into an environment like that. Now feel that confident and compelled to speak because they're so grateful to Tempus Novo for changing their lives around and the businesses.
And the relationships with their caseworkers.
Right.
Lovely to see.
It's honestly, it's really emotional. And there were loads of people wiping their eyes all night, weren't there?
Say something else.
One of our ambassadors who come from London, he actually was crying. Sobbing. And we had to go and put his arm around him. Honestly, it was that emotional.
I couldn't get checkbook out quick enough. You know.
Yeah.
It's checkbook.
Yeah. It's a great night, and it's a celebration of the lads and lasses successors and the employers, because they're there. They're and Yulqua came, Claire Bottle,
the team,
and all their team, because we've worked a lot with them. We're up for an award with them, by the way.
At the lunch.
Shortlisted.
We've been shortlisted for an award.
The thing about Running Park as well is, and this goes back to the human element that I referred to, as a company, Running Park is a family-run business. They've employed an ex-offender who's been there 18 months. So this ain't just a hotel and spa.
You've got people placed there, haven't you?
Yeah.
We've got a lad.
Sorry,
we've had one.
It's not easy because of where it is. It's out in the sticks.
Yeah.
But we've managed to place 2 or 3. 2 didn't last that long.
No, one lasted 12 months.
But Olivier has been there 18 months and he said, I want to be here for the rest of my life. He's got 5 kids that he now can support. They're looking at him, training him up to be a chef. They said he's part of our family. We love him. He got Employee of the Month in November.
Awesome.
And
I tell you what, it's strange because when we go there quite
Massive
often.
shout out for Rudding Park
Oh,
Hotel and Spa.
without
if
a
you're
doubt.
looking for an away day or
Yeah.
even a fortnight,
Have they got a golf course?
Yes.
Oh,
We're the best.
Well, I think we'll go and have a game.
That's it. Are we getting some commission from this? Pushing this. So you talk to their staff. Honestly, like I did at Chester's. Oh, and I've
10
been
years,
here
15
10 years.
years, 20 years.
What do you love? I love it. It's absolute. They treat you so well, and it's the Mackiness
Yeah,
Mackiness family, and they're really. Every time we go, owner comes up to. I don't know. It must be there constantly.
That's what they do.
Don't they? They're there all the
they
time.
Run a good business because they pay attention to detail.
Yeah, they do.
And
They're really
shop
good.
floor.
They are there all the time.
They're amazing.
Unfortunately, you guys don't cover the whole country yet.
No.
What can anybody do who's not in your patch? How do they get some benefit out of the community?
Oh, they can
You know, the
contribute.
underprivileged.
They could sponsor
Yeah.
someone changing their lives by contributing to the charity.
Yeah.
I was thinking more from an operational point of view.
Mm.
So this came from a conversation I had with somebody at UKWA, do use Tempus Novo, they don't cover my area. And I thought, well, that's a shame because just because he's sitting outside of your area, they're not getting the benefit of using an ex-offender. So is it something you can do on your own, or
No.
is it tricky to do?
It is
No,
tricky.
You can't do it on your own.
No, it's tricky because you've got to start building relationships with the prisons in that area, the probation, and the DWP. Now we can do that, but it's got to be funded.
Right. Okay.
So we can't just go, let's all move, let's go and start helping this organisation, I don't know, in Hertfordshire, for instance, because they're a lovely organisation, but, who's going to fund it?
Again, one of the obstacles
That's the
is
problem.
people assume as a charity you don't pay anything because people do it for nothing, which is a joke. You run a charity same as you run a business.
Yes.
Obviously not to make profit, but you've still got to make enough money to pay the salaries and the expenses. We're very fortunate that we've got some phenomenal funders, the likes of Rank Foundation, and again, those are relationships you've got to build.
Henry Smith.
But you've also got to be able to demonstrate solid outcomes because nobody's going to give money to an organisation that don't spend it well.
It's coming hard. It's getting harder and harder to get foundation trust funding. But we've done
There's more need and
exceptionally
less
well,
money available.
haven't we? But we've in that atmosphere, we've done exceptionally
Well, here's
well,
how well we've done. We
This year.
doubled our income last year.
which
Went
is
from
amazing.
$500,000 to £1 million organisation.
When charities are going out
Yeah.
out of existence.
And by the way, at the beginning of the year, our trustees were looking at a winding up plan.
Really?
Mm,
So what are you able to do now with your double funding? Are you growing again?
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're very keen to ensure that £3,000 a head stays at £3,000 a head, if possible. Clearly, there's been some massive changes, aren't there, in terms of cost of living. That impacts everybody, every organisation. So I've got to watch that carefully.
Fuel.
You're balancing so many different things to keep it at that.
Mm,
But more people's lives change. That's what.
Yeah.
The more money we get, the more lives we change. It's as simple as that.
the one way we can expand and spread our wings, if you like, is if we get the mayoral PCC area funding in other areas.
Right.
And if we do that, and then, because if you get them, you've already got them on board then. Because if they're going to fund you, they're going to want you to do well.
Yes.
So
Our
they'll
plan-
start referring people. So our plan is to
Our
work
plan
with-
is to scale through
to
the
scale
police
through
and
the
crime
police and
commissioner
crime
stroke
commission
mayoral,
regions.
because that gives you a sustainable model.
Yeah,
You've got the buy-in of the criminal justice system, literally,
yeah,
because they're actually funding you. And, well, B, you've got the people in those areas that you want to support. And we've also got, because of our network of big national companies, the opportunity to move from one area to the other, because most of them have got, as in logistics case, warehouses all over the country. So it's workable in that sense. There's 37, as we said, I think PCC stroke mayoral areas. We've just been talking this morning. We think with the team we've got now, and the size we're at, there's no reason of it next 2 to 3 years we can't be working with another 3 or 4. You got to keep it.
You've got plenty of scope to grow then, haven't you?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you've got to be sensible and you've got to retain quality.
Yeah.
We don't want to scale to a ridiculous size overnight where you lose all the quality, because this is about human beings. And the danger is you get 6 or 7 mayors or PCCs knocking on your door, but you've got to say to them, actually, we're not at that stage yet where we can help all of you. If you're patient and prepared to wait, then in time,
region by region,
that makes it sustainable.
Yeah.
What won't work if you said, "Oh yes, all give us your money tomorrow and let's do this thing," but do it badly.
Yeah, it's a way we can go across the country, for definite.
That £3,000 that you're funding per person, does that include like helping them with bus fares and
Everything?
things like that? And
We don't do a lot of that, but we do. It's like the guy we've just give a little. So this guy who's homeless, by the way, we didn't sort of finish off, but because he's not allowed to stay at his girlfriend's, he needs somewhere for at least a month. I think it's going to take him about a month. So we've actually loaned him £500.
Right.
And his employers match that.
Yep.
So they can put a bond down and pay his rent for a month.
Right.
And that's about £1,000. But that guy has already straight away, he got paid, and he's paid us 70 quid back straight away.
Good.
And it's
good intention.
We don't do that routinely.
No. But
We do it as an
it
exception.
includes, but we have give little loans and
it's the great thing about being a little organisation,
That's it.
because you can do all those little
it's
things.
fine,
also
you can make that
done.
decision like that.
About 6-9 months ago, we were looking at our model and where we thought the weaknesses were, so we do it regularly. And the first month in work is a really vulnerable time for them because they haven't been paid. So how are they going to get to work? How are they going to pay for fuel? How are they going to pay bus fares, railway?
Yeah.
So I approached one of our existing funders and told them we could strengthen this model if we gave them a little bit of money up front. We came up with the figure of £80.
80 quid.
We thought that was
£20 a week for
reasonable to help them, and reasonable in terms of what we requested off of the funder. Within 2 weeks, I got a cheque for 15 grand.
It feels like such a small amount of money that would make such a massive difference to somebody in that position, but it's a tiny amount in reality.
It makes such a lot of difference because when somebody's got nothing and they're having
80
to walk
quid's a
to
lot.
work
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to being able to jump on a bus or a train or whatever.
And we know how it works in prison, by the way. They borrow, they get into debt, bullying.
Yeah.
So there's some lads, we know for a fact we've saved their lives, by the way. This isn't just about putting people into work. Chris Sutcliffe, years and years ago, we got him a job. Did he end up back on drugs or something?
Yeah.
Ended up in hospital. But our mentor stroke coach worker went to visit him in hospital, stuck by him, liaised with his employer, got him back his job. Because of because we were working with an employer who cared.
Yeah.
Well, they were threatening to commit suicide.
When he were at work, his work rate were phenomenal. In fact, he sent me a photo shot of the performance chart for the week. There were about 6 of them in this area in warehouse, packing beers into boxes, special beers. Chris, 96 boxes. The next nearest, 56.
Wow.
That's not untypical, by the way,
No.
of the work rate. Monty,
Yeah.
I was scouring.
Yeah,
His manager rings us up. Steve, we've got a I thought, oh shit, what's going on?
'Cause
No,
it
he
was
says it's a good problem. He says
showing
Monty's
everybody
working
else
too
up.
hard. I says, what? He says he's in a team of 3
Yeah.
on nights. The other 2 have got comfortable. It's causing us huge problems. I don't know how we're going to deal with it. His rate of
They can't keep up.
what were his? They were doing something like 40 odd bales.
Yeah.
They were doing 15.
Yeah.
So they were then putting him under pressure.
Yeah.
He's an ex-prisoner, by the way, drug dealer, who's saying, well, if you don't bother trying putting me under any pressure, mate, because I'll kill you, type thing. So then we've got all this to deal with. We went in, didn't we, on his hearing. They had to initiate an investigation. because he'd threatened one of them. But he was threatening them because they were trying to stop him working.
Yeah.
The irony in it.
Ridiculous. Yeah, they tend they feel as though they have to prove themselves more than anybody else because they've been given this opportunity that they've never had, and they feel now that usually lasts 3 to 6 months, and then they might just get slipped back into reality then, and start having odd bit of time off like anybody
Fitting in
else
with
would.
rest.
Fitting with rest.
Yeah,
type
yeah,
thing.
slacking back a bit.
I know, like you say, when you place somebody in a new company, and what you're waiting for is you don't want to. You get a phone call. Oh, it's Johnny from this new. I think, oh God, what's go on? Yeah, have you got any more like this, lad?
We've heard that
Wow,
many times.
that many times. Honestly,
There was
he's
a company in
best
Morley
worker I've got.
where we just started out, and ops director said, "Bring 3 lads that you've got ready to interview." So we took them up. First lad in might have been Simon. Can't remember. He interviewed him and he came out and he went, "Steve, can I just have a word?" And I thought, oh, like, this guy had gone well. I sat down. He said, "Have you got any fucking more like that?" He says, "I have not interviewed anybody as motivated, with as good attitude in years."
One of my questions was, give us an example where an employer was surprised by how well somebody performed. You've just given us 3 or 4,
So I would say to any employer,
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Seriously.
if you're not too sure about this,
What are your other options?
give it a go, because
What are the other options?
Yeah.
You use your same recruitment.
we
that
can't
you've been
guarantee
using.
you it works every time.
No.
But when it doesn't work, it doesn't damage your business or your reputation. But when it does work, it impacts in a positive way on your bottom line.
And we're there to support both every individual we place and yourselves. So there's nothing, there's no stone unturned with us.
As a big international company, you can also say to social investors, we do more than make profit. We impact on community in a positive way.
ESG.
We're helping people who otherwise would be taking out of the pot to put back in.
It's so hard to measure that bit.
So
hard to measure.
Social impact.
I always say, when they say to me, "What are the wins out of Tempus Novo?" and I'll reel them off. Less victims, less crime, less people on benefits, more people in work, great role models for the kids, more prosperous communities, safer streets.
What more can you?
Oh, and harder and more loyal workers. Who don't want a bit of that? And it's safe because we eliminate the offenders who most people in society would find difficult to work with.
Should we finish with talking to these two about their experience individually or collectively in this? My daughter, who I asked to sort of, pose a question, she's 13, and as 13-year-olds do, went and did a bit of research.
What's her name, Tom?
Florence.
Florence.
Yes, she came with this question. I think it's a cracking question. What is your favourite thing or things about being part of supply chain and logistics? So what do you like about it?
Well, I like the fact that the people that we place have opportunities to progress. There's so many different roles within logistics. So if they go in there a little bit concerned that they're going to be pigeonholed and it's going to be a dead-end job, that's far from the truth. They're embraced as part of the logistics family. And as I said earlier, 15 out of 77 promotions.
I think that's a stigma that, whereas in logistics has got, it's dead-end jobs, and I think we've got to do some work as an industry on that as well to progress that forward.
I would have had that perception before we had Tempus Novo.
Yeah, I used to think there were
Dirty, dusty environment.
Places, and I think there were in the day, but they've moved on so much. They've had to do. It's a massive growing area, isn't it? Is home deliveries. My wife, my parcels every day to my house.
You two have known each other a long time as well.
We have.
What are your coping strategies, Val, with dealing with Steve?
Oh, it's difficult.
There ain't such a thing.
Well, you must have had words, at the times when you don't get on very well, and it is hard.
You know what? I bet we can count on 2 hands possibly over last 12 years, let's say, when we've been really, and I mean, when we say working together, it's every day, every minute. Even when we're at home, we're on phone, we're
Yeah.
on. And I tell you what, I can count on two hands the times that we've had a big fallout, and he'll tell me to F her, I'll tell him to F her, and within a couple of hours, one of us will ring, other one say, really sorry. I was a bit of a prat
I've
there.
never had that from you.
Yeah, no, well,
I'm still waiting.
because it's usually him that's the problem.
No, but you know what?
Was it you?
Do you know what? I think we're both big enough to accept that you're not always right in life.
No.
And even when me and him can't come to an agreement, there's other good people out there that help us.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. Tony Mannix, the legend of logistics.
Yeah, that's true.
Tony has been, what would you class him as? An advisor, a mentor
Yeah.
to us at times when we've
Yeah.
struggled with. We learned early on, don't exclude people that are better than you, because that's how you grow. Don't feel threatened. It's a tricky relationship, but I think you've got to be humble enough to know, yeah, we're brilliant at certain things, but we're not very good at others. And there are people out there that are better. People within our team that we've brought in specifically because of that. Not only on board of trustees over years gone by, but now within our day-to-day, workings, we've got people that are far better than us at certain things. And you need
That makes sense. It makes your job easier.
And now we've just gone through the most difficult process in 12 years. We're actually, I've got to be careful how I say this.
Yeah.
We're having a refresh on our board of trustees. And that's not because these people aren't brilliant, but we're at a different place now. And we need different people with different skills and knowledge and experience.
You're advised to refresh them. To be honest, they've been.
Yeah, the IOD, so the Institute Director says not more than 9 years. Absolute max 9 years.
We're
We're
at that stage. And this is why we're having the refresh with some of them.
It's been difficult because they feel a bit bruised.
Yeah.
We've all got egos. We all like our egos stroking. And anybody that says they don't is lying. Some more than others. But, we've all got egos. We all like to be told we're good at things, etc. That's fine. But then when you're challenged on that, because we need to move on as an organisation, and this is to set Tempus Novo way beyond our time.
Yeah. How long do you think you'll be involved?
Oh, I think, Val's never dying. He's got another.
I've
got news for you, Val.
Val gets younger every day. I get older.
I don't know. I mean, listen.
Another 4 years.
At least, 4 or 5 years.
There must be a point where you go, fuck off, I'm going to go and get a caravan and piss off to Whitby, surely.
I've got the motorhome.
Have you? You got a camper to drive around?
I'll tell you about our budget.
About your budget?
Our budget. He's just said a caravan and Whitby. It's about right, isn't it?
Yeah. You go to charity, you can't be wealthy, can you?
No.
I think another 8, 10 years for me. Another maybe 4 or 5 for Val, I think.
Yeah, but we'll see. Do you know what it is? It's your health, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And
step into that though.
Yeah.
To what you
Well,
do.
we're mentoring people now.
We are trying to do that. We've got a succession
I think
plan
what
there.
will happen is, if we want TN to help more people nationally, possibly internationally, because I've been approached from people, we're doing some research now with
America.
George Mason University and Sheffield Hallam as a joint project, and they're going to analyse the data and subject to that. And they found $200,000 to do this. Run a pilot in America, possibly.
George Mason
So that's
University
exciting.
in Virginia.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
I think what we've got to accept is TN can continue. It'll never be the same, we don't think, without us. But it can continue because we've got a model now that you can replicate.
I think
with or without us.
Yeah, I think
the difficulty is replacing you as leaders.
No,
that's the difficulty.
Yeah,
it's getting that right.
So my intentions are, and I know Steve's the same, is if we can train 2 people up to do the operations, the marketing, the managing, and all that, we can still be there as advisors, but we go out and sell it.
Yeah,
we go out speaking about it.
Do this sort of thing more.
Come on,
So hopefully people become aware. We can educate the country that actually we've missed the trick. We've missed the trick as a country. There's 250,000 people under supervision and probation at any given time.
Yeah.
There's 90,000 people in prison-ish.
Yeah.
Something like 1 in 4.
That's an awful lot of people, an awful lot of
male adults, Tony. 1 in 4 male adults has a conviction. Okay, a lot of these are driving convictions. Nevertheless, they've got a conviction.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a big untapped pool of people there that if it's done safely by the right people and with passion.
And it's like we said, you know, the PCC in mayoral areas is a great way to do it.
It's a huge opportunity.
really
Dan
is.
Price, if you're listening and we're in
Yes.
Cheshire,
Yeah,
you're
we
Cheshire,
are. Yeah, we're in Cheshire.
stick with us.
Yeah.
And I know he understands that anything worth doing takes time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds like time to finish. Go on then, you say it.
I don't want to say that.
What is it? What is it? What is it?
I know what it is.
Oh, it's all right.
I think that shrink wraps it up.
Well, I agree when all shed and done.
We're all shed and done. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's been really
No,
great
we've
fun.
enjoyed it ourselves. It's nice to share our story.
Yeah.